What up? What up? What up? This Ibn Webb, Quran, and some another official thanks thing going down here. This is special. This one's special. They all special. Um, Only had three barbers in my life. Main barbers. My grandfather, rest in peace to him. My man Fudan back in Jersey. And then when I came up to Connecticut or what have you here, and had to get situated on my adult life here. It's been for Johnny Turner. Some people know him as Blaze. Like I said, outside of your family, immediate extended family, barbers are probably your closest relationships that you have here, make you feel good, look good, what have you here. Like I said, I was actually trying to think how long I've been going to Johnny's, probably over 20 years. Definitely is over 20 years here. Like I said, it's one of my everyday heroes, not necessarily just the whole haircut thing, just what he's been, not only to me, but hundreds of other people here that he's influenced or what have you, things he probably recognize here. Very humble, laid back. So for me to even get him on, it's pretty cool. Like I said, I'm very, very fortunate and thankful. So we're just gonna hold tight and we're just gonna get him on.
All right, you can see me now.
Nah, we good, man. Thank you, man. I know you got all these advanced phones. You probably got like an i30 or 35 or wherever they at now.
Nah.
I appreciate it, man. Like I said, I actually when you gave me the green light to chop it up earlier, man, I was excited, man. Like I said, like I was just sharing with you something I just started, man, just on some, just wanting to have some conversations and, I think, big up, my everyday heroes or people I appreciate, man. I done did people from, back at the crib, some athletes or what have you here, man. I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna ask Johnny to jump on and see what he said. Like I said, I know you humble and reserved and in the cut. So I really appreciate you just kind of doing this because like I said, I know this is not necessarily your styles, but so I really appreciate that.
Nah, I appreciate you having me on, man. I mean, it's crazy. We've had a million conversations at the shop, in a 30-minute window, but it's really not my thing. Like so many people ask, and I don't know, but I don't know. I'm here, man. I just felt like compelled to do it because
Oh man. Nah, that's cool, man. So I won't take too much of your time, man. But I get a little nosy, tell me mind my business, so you could just nick me with a blade next time I'm in the shop and just to pay me back or something, man. Nah, don't do that, man.
Nah,
Don't do
we
that.
good.
Nah. When it's all said and done, man, you born, raised in New Britain?
Born and raised New Britain, Connecticut. Born here, gonna die here. I love New Britain. New Britain's been good to me. I'm loyal to New Britain. You're never gonna hear about me living in the burbs and eating in New Britain. Like, nah, I'm here. Like, I love New Britain.
Yeah. Now, would you grow up at New Britain?
Pinnacle Heights housing project.
How was your childhood?
Um, my childhood was, pretty average for New Britain, young Black kids, single parent household. There were times where my grandmother stayed with us. There were times where we stayed with my grandmother. There were times where my grandfather lived with us, So pretty typical, you know what I mean? For a young Black man in America, period, not just New Britain, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Nah, absolutely, man. Sound like the whole take a village approach too, man. Everybody raised you. When talking about, you mentioned the Black families, man, like aunts, uncles, your fake aunties and uncles. You got 1,000 godparents. Everybody holding you down.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. Nah, absolutely, man. And then even I know you're big on sports and activities and all that, man. So you did all that too growing up, as far as a kid.
Yeah, growing up, basketball was my thing. Like honestly, basketball was like my first love, probably a little more than cutting hair. But I realized a long time ago that I wasn't going to the NBA, so it was either basketball or work. And like in high school, I went to Goodwin Tech. I didn't go to New Britain High, so I went to EC Goodwin Tech. For those who don't know, when I was a freshman, we had the coach said he didn't want no players who worked to play on his team. So Like I never played for EC because of that coach, because he didn't want no players to work. So, and like at 14, like I always had it, I always worked as a kid. So, but I still played, I played AAU basketball, which is, better than the high school ball, like most people know. Um, so, and I just used to bust the kids' ass who were on the team at UC Goodman. I would bust their ass like in gym or any other boys club league, or, I would just kill them, but because I had that chip on my shoulder from the coach. But so yeah, so basketball is definitely my first love when it comes to sports. Um, we didn't have a football team at EC Goodwin Tech, but I played obviously project football, in the yard and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely basketball is numero uno.
Yeah, and then even with the whole EC Goodwin thing, I mean, how'd you end up there? I mean, obviously you could have went to New Britain High or somewhere else. I mean, is it when you found out even with the whole cutting and cosmetology kind of thing, that it was like, hey, this is what I want to do? It sounded like you knew that early.
Yeah, like I started, believe it or not, I started fooling around with clippers when I was 10 years old. Um, Cutting like my little cousin's hair, my friend's hair, whoever would allow me to cut the hair at 10 years old. My grandfather, he bought me my first set of clippers.
Hmm.
Prior to that, like I would use my sister's father's clippers, or my grandfather had a boyfriend at the time. I would, use his clippers when he wasn't there, but and cut whoever's hair would let me at 10 years old. So I developed like a passion for it. Like I loved it. Like I knew then, 10 years old, you're a fifth grader. I knew in fifth grade that I wanted to go to EC Goodwin for high school
Okay.
because they had a barbering program versus going to New Britain High. You know what I mean? So I knew then a fifth grader knows where he wants to go for high school. You know what I mean? Hasn't set foot into middle school yet, but knows he wants to go to high school at EC Goodwin Tech.
Yeah. Remember that first head you cut?
Um, yeah, it probably was. I'm pretty sure it was my little cousin Irvin.
Okay.
Um, Leroy McGill. That's his government. But I'm pretty sure it was Irv who's
Okay.
the and I ever cut. But yeah, and back in the day, we're talking 30 plus years ago. So, you know, I was big on like doing designs and tagging, like I would try to draw letters in his head, and just yeah. So he was like my first legit guinea pig.
Yeah, yeah, we all need one. Yeah. Nah, so you get over there, then how's like the curriculum? I mean, is it like, all right, I could kind of see this going in the direction that I wanted to. This is my plan. But it sounds like things just kind of laid out for you because you locked in, knew what you wanted to do, and just that
Right.
whole thing at EC Goodwin. I mean, that whole cosmetology thing, man. Like, did it just fall in line as far as you just grasping the work and all that stuff?
Yeah, so the curriculum, for those who don't know, when you go to a trade high school, you spend half of the year in academics and you spend half of the year in your chosen trade. So in 3 week cycles, I would be in academics, and then another 3 weeks I would be in shop class. Then, you would alternate back and forth throughout the school year. So, and as far as the curriculum is concerned, you had to learn everything. You had to learn the composition of hair. You had to learn skin disorders, hair disorders, diseases. Because you have to be able to recognize these things. If a client comes in, and let's say a client comes in and he has lice, you have to be able to recognize lice so you not treat it. Because technically we're not supposed to treat clients with communicable diseases. So you have to be aware of how to see all these things, and we had to learn. Believe it or not, there's some chemistry involved in learning cosmetology, especially on the makeup side of things. Like I learned everything, like cosmetology, nails, barbering, like literally everything. So it's not just hands-on cutting hair. We had to learn chemicals, coloring, perming, relaxing. Um, wedding updos, you name it, anything that's, under the hair umbrella, we had to learn it when I was at Goodwin Tech. Whether I wanted to do it or not, I had to learn it. If I wanted to become a licensed hairdresser cosmetologist, I had to learn it over those 4 years, and I had to do it. So I did it. And as far as like the theoretical part of it, we had like a class of maybe 12 to 15. Obviously, I was the only boy in my class. Excuse me. And like I always excelled at the theoretical portion of it because I guess I was already intrigued for the hands-on part. So it kind of made me more interested than the rest of my classmates. Um, so, I don't know, but yeah, that was you know, that was it for me as far as the curriculum, how that went.
Nah, it's crazy. And I never, to you, as you were sharing that, like the chemistry part, had no clue. Like
Yeah,
even when you used to say, had no clue that all that tied into it as well too, and it makes sense.
yeah,
It makes sense.
yeah. Like when you're mixing colors, you have to know, what volume peroxide is going to yield certain results when mixed with this color. And yeah, it's a little more involved than people realize. Like, so it's just funny when I see people, come in, like, especially guys. Obviously, I see more guys than women in the barbershop, even though, I have a lot of women clientele. But it's funny when I see these guys come in and they have tried these home hair color kits, and then their hair is all orange, or you know their black is green because they
Mm.
saw the men commercial and they think that their beard or their hair is going to look like the commercial. But they don't realize, like I said, there's chemistry to it. But so I just laugh on the inside. But yeah,
Yeah,
everyone.
nah, it's crazy. Nah, that's crazy, man. I know. And even with all that being said, having to do the balance the school, the home life, everything else, man, and obviously you cutting from the crib or what have you, man. When you made that transition into a shop, or were you just steady cutting out the crib through high school?
So all throughout high school, I would take my clippers literally everywhere. If I went to the boys club, my clippers were in my backpack. If I went to the PAL building, my clippers were in my backpack. Wherever I went, if I went and spent the night, in Plainville at my grandparents for the weekend, I would take my clippers with me. Like I would try to cut any and everyone's hair who allowed me to, even at that age, even in high school. Um, and then I really didn't get into a shop until my senior year of high school. School started in September, and I started to work at my first barbershop as a senior in October, my senior year, October. So like a month and a half into school, I went and I spoke to this lady who owned Harlem Barbershop. For those who are from New Britain, Harlem Barbershop was like the only black barbershop in New Britain for years. Like my grandfather went to Harlem Barbershop, my dad went to Harlem Barbershop. Like anyone's uncle, whoever who grew up in New Britain went to Harlem Barbershop. It was owned by a light-skinned black man who looked white, Mr. Carter. But Mr. Carter passed a few years ago. But anyway, before he retired, this Spanish woman, Maria, owned it. And Maria had bought it from another barber who worked for Mr. Carter, Stephanie. But Stephanie died when I was like 13 from a drug overdose. Um, so Maria bought the shop from Stephanie. After she passed, she got it from her relatives or whatever. And so I went and spoke with her like one day after school and told her I was a senior at EC Goodwin and that I was in the hairdressing program, and that I was interested in working there like after school and on Saturdays. And she put me on. She allowed me to work there, and I learned a lot from her. Like Maria was good back in the day. Like she was very good. Hands on, she was very good. Like with the hair, and so I learned a lot from her. You could say she taught me silently because I learned from watching her. She would never, like she wouldn't offer the knowledge, but I learned from watching her. And and I also learned what not to do, because even though she was good skill wise, she wasn't the best business person. Like she would
Mhm.
open late, close early, you know, take off during the day, like, so she taught me a lot, whether she realizes it or not. But I salute her to this day. If I saw her at Walmart, I would say hello in a minute.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I
Ah,
worked,
it's crazy.
it is. And I worked with her for like 2.5 years. Like, so from October 96 to like August 98. And in August 98, she fired me. Because she said I was stealing from her. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, it's like when you work in a barbershop, there's two options for payment. You can either rent your chair or you can be on commission. Well, Maria used to have me on commission. She didn't rent her chairs. So meaning she got a percentage of every dollar I took in. So if I took in, $10 at the time, that's what a haircut was going for back then, a basic haircut. If I took in $10, she would get four and I would get six. So it was a 60-40 split. And she basically, accused me of not keeping track of all my haircuts after being there 2.5 years.
Mhm.
So yeah, so she let me go. But I'm a firm believer in things happen for a reason.
Yeah, nah. Even with that, and then and I know one of your favorite artists is when you mentioned that, it just kind of hit me with the whole Andre Harrell Puff thing.
Oh, absolutely right, right.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
records, right.
yeah. So from there, is that do you go somewhere else, or that's when you just do your own thing?
So from that moment, like I said, that was like August 98. That, in New Britain at the time, there was only two other black barbershops, quotation marks, black barbershops. It was there's a place called Trim Masters, and I was familiar with Trim Masters, and I knew the owner, but I didn't know him that well. And but Kev worked there, Sauce worked there. And then it was like a 10-chair barbershop. He probably had 5 barber stations and 5 beautician stations. He was right across the street from Jimmy's Smoke Shop on West Main Street. So I went and spoke to him like that same day, literally. Like when she fired me, she used to close whenever she felt like it. So I think she fired me at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday. And I went immediately to Trim Masters, like when I left there, because they stayed open a little later because, they had a good location. They're on West Main Street, across from the the bus depot. So I went and spoke to Joe and said, hey, I'm interested, like I need a job. I want to work here or whatever. I told him Maria let me go. He knew I was with Maria. Like he would always try to get me to come work for him or whatever. But I was good where I was at. I was comfortable. I was content. So, I just never paid it no mind until, she fired me. And so then I felt like, hey, why not give this guy a shot? So I went and worked with Joe. The guy's name is Joe Macon. I worked with Joe at Trim Masters for about 8 or 9 months, um, probably to about March of '99. And then Joe fired me.
Yeah, wow.
um,
You stealing money from him too?
so no, so Joe, well, no, I wasn't. You couldn't
I'm
steal
messing.
from Joe
I'm
because
messing with you, man.
he had a register, he had a cash register in the barbershop, and he had his girlfriend as a receptionist. So um every haircut that was paid for, you had to pay the receptionist, kind of like a supercuts cost cutters type deal. Like you
Mhm.
don't pay your stylist, you don't pay your barber, you pay the receptionist. So you couldn't steal from Joe if you wanted to. So Joe also did not rent his chairs, and we always, we always had conflict about that because he was raping everybody, raping you records. Like he was seeing a portion of everybody's money. He was never there. And to be blunt, Joe wasn't a good barber, and he wasn't from New Britain.
Mm.
Like Joe was a Hartford dude. So, here I am, this young kid who's from New Britain, born and raised. And after 2.5 years at the other place, I had a following.
Mhm.
And then when I came there, that I was cutting hair, they see me, like those people are leaning to go to me because I'm a familiar face. You know what I'm saying? So in those 8 months that I was there, 8 or 9 months, like and not to say this with any form of cockiness or whatever, but like I had his spot on lock in those 8 or 9 months. Like everybody wanted to wait for me. Like some of the people who had gone to him faithfully, every week were choosing to wait for me and wait and sit in my chair. And that bothered him. So like we always we always had conflict because of that. And on top of him not wanting to rent me the chair because it was to my benefit. But like I said, owners who are like that, they don't want to rent you the chair because, they're only concerned about themselves. And it's selfish as an owner to do that, but to each his own. But that's why Joe's not in business now. Like he's not even a barber. Here we are 22 years later. But yeah, like he's not in business, he's not a barber. And Trim Masters folded, not, a long time ago. Trim Masters folded. They're not in existence. But so yeah, so I worked for Joe and he fired me. And then and he did it dirty the way he fired me. Like it was a Friday morning. It was a Thursday morning. I came to work, and I was the only one who had a key. There was like 5 barbers in there. I was the only one who had a key. I came to unlock the door, and the key does not work. Like this motherfucker changed the locks on me. Excuse my language. I don't know if your
Nah, we
podcast.
good. Nah, we good, man.
Um, yeah, he changed the locks on me. So it's 9 o'clock, and I'm here to unlock the door and open the door, and this hit like the key wouldn't work. So I waited for him to get there. He strolls up around 9:15, and he's like he comes and locks the door. He's like you've been terminated. Here, I'm gonna cut you your final check. That's exactly what he said to me. You've been terminated. I'm gonna give you your last check, your final check. That's exactly how he worded it. So, he gave me my check. I don't even remember the words that were exchanged, but we didn't like argue or nothing like that. I'm pretty sure I said like, why or like but you know, he really didn't have much of an answer for me. He kept like reiterating, you've been terminated, here's your final check. So he gave me my check, and I went to cash it immediately because he was the type of dude where he would tell, prior to this, he would tell you, oh, wait a couple days to cash a check, don't cash it right away. Like this dude would really tell people that. Like I kid you not. Kev could vouch for that, Sauce could vouch for that. But so I went to cash a check after he fired me, and of course they told me that there was insufficient funds in the account. So, that was probably 9:30ish now in the morning. So I think I called there, and I don't remember. Maybe he wasn't there when I called to ask about the check, or he told the receptionist to say he wasn't there, whatever the case may be. So I just left it alone. So then a little later in the day, later that morning, I went to see this dude called Willie Vine. Willie is like a legendary hairdresser slash barber in New Britain, but he was great with women's hair. Like he wasn't the greatest barber, but he was great with women's hair. So Willie had a shop upstairs from Capital Lunch, the hot dog spot, that world famous. He had a salon right up above Capital Lunch, and I went there when I knew he would be there because he was a late bird too. Like he didn't open till like, when he felt like it. So I think I went there like just before noon, maybe 11 something. And I told Willie, I was like, yo, Joe fired me. Like I need a spot. And Willie grew up with my mom and my dad. He knew me as a kid, like his family know my family, whatever. And yeah, he put me on immediately. Like I started work the next day, which was a Friday. So a couple of my customers were like beeping me that day. Yeah, this is back when I had a
Yeah,
beeper.
that's
Like,
yeah.
like I had a cell. Like that was the very beginning of cell phones. I had a cell phone, but you would only use your cell phone like after 7 when it's free or the
Yeah,
weekend.
yeah, yeah.
So my customers were beeping me, and then I call them back and be like, I told them like, yo, I'm gonna be at this place tomorrow. I gave them the address to Willie's spot. It was called something Divas, maybe Divas Den is what it was called. Honestly, I forget, man. It's been 22. I should know the name of it, but I think it was Divas Den. I think, but it was something fancy like that. But anyway, so he put me on that same day. The next Friday, he told me. I asked him, I was like, what time do you open, Will? He's like, I usually be there around 10. Those were his exact words. I usually be there around 10. I'm used to coming to work at 9. So anyway, I tell my people, I'll be there at 10, and so I get there at 10 and Willie's not there. He's nowhere to be found. I'm sitting outside with like two of my customers who were expecting, the door to be open at 10, and Willie shows up like 11:15ish, you know, apologetic, but I'm not, that's just Willie, but that's just who he is. So I knew then, like at that moment, like this couldn't be long term. And keep in mind, I'm only 19 years old, but I knew at that moment, like, yo, this can't be me. Cause like I was 19, but a focused 19.
Right.
Like I knew what I wanted. Like I was about my paper even back then. Like, so I went upstairs, I cut the two people. I'm pretty sure I cut those two people for free just because they was waiting with me, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe I offered to do it for free and they still paid me something to that extent. But so I worked with Will till like the first week of May, but that Monday, so that was a Friday, the first day I was there. And then that Monday, I went and spoke to this lady, Daisy Kershaw. Was a friend of my grandmother's. She used to own the hair salon where Blaze is now. It was a hair salon called SKN Studio. That was the name of her hair salon, SKN Studio. And she had approached me when I worked at Joe's at Trim Masters, saying that she was looking to retire and she wanted someone to take over the space. Um, but honestly, it wasn't on my mind at that point when she approached me. I started to work for Joe in August, like I told you earlier, and she approached me like November-ish. And like I said, I was 19 and I was just like, I always wanted to open my own shop, but at that moment, I wasn't thinking about it, even though Maria had fired me and I had just started with Joe. And I was kind of okay with Joe for the first few months. So things weren't bad. So maybe that's kind of why I didn't you know, hop on Mrs. Kershaw's offer in November. So anyway, that Monday, after working 2 days with Willie, I worked Friday and Saturday with Willie. And then that Monday, I went to see her at her salon and I asked her if she was still interested in retiring. And she told me yes. And I told her that I was interested in, taking over her space. And she said, okay, well, let me put you in contact with the landlord. And then, you can meet them too. It was an older Italian couple who owned the building at the time, Mr. Angeli
Hmm.
and Roland Angeli. They owned it. So basically I bought out all of I bought her out and assumed her lease. She had a whole bunch of junk in there, man. Like me and Sauce, we would go in there, after work and just we were cleaning stuff out forever. Um, we redecorated, we painted, whatever. And I bought her out for X amount. To be honest, it was like $800. Like it was just me paying her $800 to buy her junk, which basically was like the first month's rent and whatever junk she had in there, because she just assumed that I wanted to keep her keep her salon furniture, but
Okay.
I didn't want any of it or whatever. So I just paid her the $800, and that was that. And then I ended up meeting with the landlord a couple of days after. I don't remember exactly what day. It could have been a Wednesday or maybe that Tuesday. I met with the landlord. I know it wasn't immediate. It probably was 2 days. I probably met with the landlord like on Wednesday, and told him, introduced myself to the couple. Like I said, they were older. They were in their 70s at the time, at least. And I told them that I was the barber in the city. I've been working professionally for 2.5 years, and that, and Mrs. Kershaw vouched for me because she had rented from them for years. So they knew if she was, forwarding me to them, then I must be a serious candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, like, I was cool with them, and they look, they were kind of looking at me awkward because I was young. Obviously, I'm black, even though Miss Kershaw was black, but she's in her 60s, so they probably, look at me like, oh, this kid's gonna be trouble. That's probably what they're thinking. And I remember that day that I first met them. The husband, he had said, "Who knows? Maybe one day you'll buy this building." That's what he said to me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and that was March '99. He said that, and then so I ended up signing the lease with them that day, and I went to Willie. I was working 3 days a week at the time with Willie, Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays. So Thursday morning, when I came to work with Will, I told him, I was like, hey, thanks for putting me on, but I think I'm ready to open my own spot. Like I signed the lease yesterday or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and Will allow me to, even he allowed me to work with him for until Blaze opened. He allowed me to work with him those 3 months, like from March, April, and the first week of May. So he like Will was the truth. Like no, like he allowed me to pass out. I had eventually down the line, before I left to open Blaze, I had created business cards and flyers. He allowed me to pass out cards from my establishment in
Mm-hmm.
his establishment. You know what I mean? Like that's real. Like I love
Oh
Will to
yeah,
this,
absolutely. Absolutely.
goosebumps, like just telling you that. Like, but that's real. Like nobody does that. Like I wouldn't allow it as a businessman. Like, and not just being an asshole or being funny, but like Pepsi don't let you advertise for Coke. You know what I'm saying? So if you tell Pepsi you're leaving today, they're gonna walk you out the door. They're not gonna let you pass their Coca-Cola business card along.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, so he allowed me to work there for those 3 months and tell everybody I was leaving, and yeah, and so like I said, every day after leaving Willie's, I would go there and paint and throw shit out and whatever. Me and Sauce. Um, and yeah, we ended up opening May 13th. May 13th was our grand opening, which was a Thursday. But a lot of people don't know, like our soft opening was May 11th. Like no one really knows that. So technically, you could say May 11th is Blaze's true anniversary, but I always stuck with the 13th because that's when we had our grand opening. Like the Herald was there, we had balloons, whatever, whatever. So yeah, like, and ever since then, it's been a whirlwind, here we are 22 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like,
Wow, man. And that stuff I ain't know. And obviously the gentleman Willie, I mean, he saw something in you, man. He knew you was special, man. I mean, sometimes we as human beings, man, we know those people around us that got that it factor. I mean, that ain't just in athletics or entertainment. That's just in everyday life. That person that's special, whatever line of career, profession they choose. We know who's special. And obviously he saw that in you. He knew you were special, man. Wall. during all that time, I mean, did you think about the team you was going to assemble? I mean, or you just going to just? I know you
Um,
probably had a million things going on at once, from cleaning up to trying to put your squad together, everything.
um, honestly, like during that, I knew right from the jump it was gonna be me and Sauce. But when I worked at Willie's for those 3 months, there was another cat who worked there. This cat Javon, who I know you probably don't know, but you probably heard of or may have heard of his place. He owns Razor Sharp. Javon worked with us up there also, but Javon was part time also because he worked in a factory also back then. This place called Gem Sensors in Plainville. So he would cut hair part time at Willie's. So when I was leaving to open Blaze before I left, like I offered him a spot at Blaze. I was like, yo, if you want to come with me, you're more than welcome to. Like I extended the olive branch, but he's like, nah, I'm gonna stick here and try to hold it down with Will. And so he chose to stay with Will. So when we opened, it was just me and Sauce, and we were overwhelmed. Like for the first, it was crazy. Like we were overwhelmed for the first like month. Like I never in the first week that we opened, I made more money in the very first week than I did working for any of these other places.
Mm-hmm.
Like period. Um, so like I remember working some Saturday nights to 11 o'clock, like period, like to 11. Like I think the latest I ever worked was like to midnight, but I remember 11 o'clock on a Saturdays was like a regular thing, like, but you're 19, so I guess your body can handle it then. But yeah, so Kev, I think Kev or Benji was the third barber. I'm trying to remember. It's so long ago, but Kev, like I said earlier, Kev had also worked at Trim Masters with Sauce and I, but he ended up quitting, because Joe was just the worst. Joe was a piece of work. So Kev was like working a couple different jobs. He was working at my credit union. He was working at the hospital for special care doing security. He was just, doing what he had to do because nobody wanted to work for Joe. Joe was the worst. So I think I had saw Kev at the credit union and was like, yo, like, I just opened. I think he had knew or heard or whatever. And I was like, yo, like, you need to like stop playing, like leave this, I basically told him like, leave this credit union money alone. Like, come get this real paper. At 19, I'm telling Kev's 10 years older than me, maybe 10 or 12 years older than me. So at 19, I'm telling this 30-year-old, like, yo, come get this paper with me. You know what I'm saying? Um, and he did. Like he left the credit union, left the hospital, and he came to Blaze. And Kev worked at Blaze from '99 to 2012 till he moved to Atlanta. And then Benji came maybe the week after Kev or vice versa. Like I said, I can't remember who started first, but yeah, Benji had actually worked for this other place, this ghetto barbershop that was owned by this drug dealer dude, who wasn't even a barber. Um, Benji said he had owed the dude money. He had owed the dude chair rent. I was like, I gave Ben whatever he owed him, the rent money. I gave him, I was like, here, go pay him. Just tell him you're done there and that you were coming here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's real talk. Like if you saw Benji at Walmart today, he would tell you, yo, yeah, Johnny gave me the money to pay him. I paid him and I was at Blaze, the next day or maybe even that same day.
Mm-hmm.
But and this is me at 19, and Benji was 2 years older than me. So this is a 19-year-old giving a 21-year-old, here to, but it's an investment. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's how we would look at it now.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, and so it was, it was us in there, and then Mo started. Mo started, I think, the following year, like maybe spring 2000. When I first opened, Mo was from Hartford and Bloomfield, but he had cut hair in Hartford also, but he had cut hair in New Britain at this hair salon for years. He worked for East Side Unisex. It was owned by Miss Virginia Brown, but it was a hair salon. But Mo was the only barber in there. And maybe 6 months after Blaze opened, I had offered a position to Mo, like, you should come work with us or whatever. And he was like, nah, man, you only getting $10 for a cut. Mo was charging 15 back then at the time. He was charging 15 for the haircut and 5 for your face in 99. So Mo was getting a dub in 99 at the hair salon. But he was the only dude. And Mo was a legend. Like Mo's name ring
Yeah.
back then. Like people, it's funny how people, make, clown Mo, or they think Mo is, but Mo's a fucking legend in New Britain.
Hmm.
Um, so he was like, nah, G, I just can't do it. Like, y'all only charging 10. I can't do it. So that was, like I said, 6 months into us being open. And then Miss Brown's place caught fire in spring of 2000. And then Mo reached out to me and was like, uh, yo, you still need barbers? I'm like, yeah, definitely. Like, come on board. And he been with us since. Here we are, August 15th, 2021. Mo's still, you know what I'm saying? He's still Blaze family.
That's
Real
right.
yeah.
Uh,
How's it been as far as just? I know you said it was a whirlwind. Like, what was what did you have to learn? I mean, it sound like you kind of learned on the fly a little bit, but what was some of the biggest lessons or things that you learned like early on?
Um, some of the biggest lessons I learned early is to be different than the rest, to be consistent. Like how I mentioned how, Maria would close early, open late. Like I learned early not to do that. Like it's a business. Like I value my business just like how Walmart or CVS values their business. Like if Walmart opens at 7 a.m. because you want to go in there and get deodorant at 7 a.m., that door is open. So I believe at Blaze Barbershop, if you want a haircut at 9 a.m., that door should be open. There should be no excuses. So like, and I value that to the death of me. Like with every ounce in me, like I value consistency, and dependability and reliability. Like the customer got to be able to rely on you. Like, and if they don't have confidence that you're going to be there, they're not going to come to you. They're just going to they're going to seek business elsewhere. And that goes for pretty much everything. Like if you are hungry and it's 10 o'clock at night and I don't know, let's say you wanted McDonald's, but McDonald's is closed at 10. You're gonna go to Burger King if you're hungry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're open. Like you're gonna lose if you're not available and the customer has no confidence in you. Then you're gonna lose out on that customer. So I learned early just to be, to be there for people, to be available for people, and to be consistent for people.
Yeah, nah, definitely, man. And I know even opening that shop open up some other doors for you too. I mean, I know you bought your paper, man, and I know some of the entrepreneur stuff started kicking in as far as whether it was some merch or even interest in the gentleman that said one day you're gonna own that building. Look what happened.
Yeah. Yeah. And when he said it, I had absolutely zero aspirations of buying the building at that moment. I couldn't have bought it if I wanted to. I didn't have the credit nor the capital to do so. But after a couple years in business, um, obviously building my credit out. Like I said, I was 19 when I signed that lease. And building my credit, saving money, et cetera, et cetera. Um, I think the husband had got sick. Like I said, the Italian couple who owned it, the husband got sick and he was about to pass. And actually, he obviously he did end up passing, but the wife just didn't want to be the landlord anymore. She couldn't handle it. Like it was too overwhelming for her. So she reached out to me. This is 2 years later, like I said. she reached out to me and told me that she was going to be selling the building. So I told her, like, not to, like, please don't list it. Like, I want it. Like, I want to buy it. Like, I want to be the one. Like, I want to own this building because I wanted security. Like, I didn't want anyone to come in and buy that building and tell me I had to leave, because we were 2 years in and we had a great thing going. Even after 2 years, like, it was, the business was booming. It was incredible. I'm really grateful. I don't go to church every week, or I don't even go every month, or, you know, I don't go as often as I should, but I believe in God, and I do believe that God has blessed me, and He blessed me with that situation. But I told her, please don't put it on the market. Like, I'm interested. I want to be your buyer. So then I was almost 21. No, I was 21. And the building is considered commercial property.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so for those who don't know Blaze or have never seen Blaze, it's in a multi-family mixed-use building. So there's 6 apartments upstairs and 1 storefront. So commercial property is anything above 4 units. So, which means you can't just go to your local bank and get a loan for this property because it's commercial property. You would get a traditional mortgage for a residential property, like a 1 family, a 2 family, a 3 family home. You know, this building was not that. It's a commercial building. So I had to get a mortgage from a hard money guy, which is basically, for those who don't know what a hard money guy, anyone who owns real estate, not anyone, but a lot of people who own real estate have had to seek out hard money loans that cost a little more interest wise, well, a lot more interest wise, but they make their funds available to challenging situations. So, to say the least, my situation was challenged. I'm 21 years old, I'm Black, and I want to buy a 6 family unit building. Um, so with that said, when you're borrowing money from these people, you have to provide usually 20 to 30% down out of your own pocket of the purchase price. Um, so I want to say I bought that building in 2001 for, I want to say 129 or 130 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And which meant I had to come up with, a little north of, somewhere around 25 to 30K, I believe, is the figure I had to come up with. So at the time I had like 2 cars. I was young. I didn't have, I was young.
I know, absolutely, but yeah.
So I think I had, what did I have when I was 21? I don't even remember, but I remember one of the cars that I owned in cash. I had a 93 Lexus GS 300. At the time, it was like a $15,000 car, but I owned it cash. Like, it was mine outright. And I had just got it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I probably had this car, I probably bought the car in February. And I think Miss Angeli told me she wanted to sell the bill. I ended up buying the building like in June. So I only had that car for like 4 months because I had to part ways with it to, obviously I liquidated so I could get up the paper to
Mm-hmm.
to buy the building, because a car didn't mean shit. I mean,
Yeah.
I wanted security, but I still had another car, whatever it was. I don't even remember what it was. I think I had an Infinity, a QX4 at the time, maybe. I don't remember what it was, but um, so I sold the Lexus just to get the paper up and get the ball rolling. And yeah, I ended up buying that building in in June of 2001. And my grandfather, he helped me with the rest of the money. He withdrew it from his from his IRA, his retirement account, for those who don't know. Um, and he even took a penalty by withdrawing that money to help me. Yeah, he ended up giving me, I want to say he gave me like 19,000 if I remember correctly, because I ended up selling the Lexus for like 11 or 12, even though it was worth like 15. I sold it like for 11 or 12 just to move it because I had time constraints, you know what I'm saying? So I couldn't hold out for the 15. I had to just move it quick. And my grandfather gave me the 19, you know. Well, he didn't give it to me. I told him it was a loan, it was a borrow. And I did. I ended up paying him back. And yeah, I became the landlord. I became a 21-year-old landlord of a 6-family building,
Hmm.
uh, 21. And yeah,
And it was that long ago, as you were saying, and yeah, it was that long ago.
yeah, it
Wow.
was
Mm,
2001. Yeah.
yeah. Nah, I remember that time, man. So I know, obviously, having your hands full with that, also, making sure you're running your establishment, but that security was important. I mean, why not? You cutting the shop you own. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it
Yeah.
was. I didn't want no one coming and saying we had to go after 2 years of building a great business. Even 2 years, then it doesn't sound like much now in comparison to our 22 years now. But 2 years then, like I was scared. I was terrified of someone saying I had to leave after 2 years, and like I was terrified.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Nah, but that terror, that being terrified, and that fear, man. Yeah, but that brings out the best in people. I mean, if you let it. I mean, some people use it and it goes the other direction, but you allowed it to bring out the best in you. You know what I mean? You jumped in the pool, you sink or swim. You know what I mean? And a lot of people can learn from this, man. Just kind of like, hey, you just gotta go for it, whatever it takes. And then obviously you have family. You mentioned your grandfather. Solid guy that he is. Obviously, you know, helped out or whatever the case is, man. But I just think, I mean, all these are just like life lessons, man. Sometimes people just don't realize they don't realize the blessings that they have, but in the same breath, just the whole sink or swim thing, man. You was like, you 2 years in, you wasn't gonna let that go, and you just got to it. However you had to get to it, man. And you know what I mean, like, and things have been just going ever since, man. Like I think some of the other stuff you do. I mean, you was one of the first to kind of even be up on the whole eBay and all that stuff as well too, as far as buying and selling stuff. Just putting people on the things. I think as far as it's coming into the shop and or even communicating with people outside of the shop, man. And to you right from the door when you talking about you, New Britain guy, you know, until it's all over with, man. And I think just seeing your crew or just people who know of you or do know you, just seeing all this stuff that you're doing, man, like just totally an inspiration to a lot of people, man. And just want to make sure I say that I'm not done with you, but I at least wanted to I wanted to say that though, man. And I think it's just crazy, man. Your career, like it's done span pretty much started since you was around 10, man. Like what has it given you like that stuck with you to this day? What sticks with you to this day just about this career that you chose and this profession, whether it's the entrepreneurship, just to working in the community? Like where has it stuck? What stuck with you to this day?
Um, what stuck with me is I would say never forgetting where you came from and like remaining humble. Like I think that's super important. Um super, super important. Like I feel like I feel like if I wasn't raised the way I was, like growing up in the hood, that maybe I don't have those aspirations to become a barber because then maybe I'm not as hungry as someone who grew up with a privileged childhood. I don't know. So I think your upbringing plays a huge role in that. So I'm proud that I'm from the hood. Like I'm proud that I grew up. That I'm like I'm grateful that I didn't have Jordans in elementary school. Like well that were mine. I mean, my cousin gave me a pair in fifth grade, but I'm grateful because maybe those kids who were spoiled in elementary school, they ain't shit right now. So I don't know. So I'm definitely grateful of my upbringing. Like I know what it's like to not, not necessarily to not have, because my mom always did the best between her and my grandmother. They always did the best to make sure I didn't go without, but I understand what struggle is. I've seen like how Jay-Z, I think would, he made a line about mom paid the rent with the light bill. That's real shit. Like that really happens. Like, so for people who heard that song and heard that line and have no idea what that means, that's the truth. Like, you paid the rent with the light bill, or vice versa. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. Real talk.
Yeah, man. And even through all this time, man, one of your probably your biggest joys, man, you became a father. Like how's that changed you, man? How's that
Yeah, like fatherhood really, it's taught me patience. And I struggle with it every day. Like, but it's most importantly, it's taught me patience. You know, what my son and my daughter are opposites. Like, my son, I've never had to yell at my son, but ever, like, I've never had to yell at him. But my daughter, like, I have to constantly yell at her, like,
yeah.
constantly. Like, I'm always on her. Like, I don't have to repeat stuff with my son, but when my daughter, it's night and day. So that's what I could say has taught me the most is patience. And like I said, I'm not a patient person at all.
Hmm. Interesting. Those lessons we learn, man, as far as through all of this. It's interesting. And even for them on top of that, just to see they don't see your growth. Some of that stuff dots won't connect probably with them till later on. But even obviously, open up the salon, right down the street. Like what made you do that?
So my younger sister, Maxine Smith, for those who don't know my sister, that's Miss Blaze. And believe it or not, if you've ever ridden by Miss Blaze, it's M.S. Blaze. So Miss Blaze really isn't Miss Blaze. It's Maxine Smith Blaze. Um, but people don't know that, so they just hyphenate it and abbreviate. They just read it as Miss Blaze. But my sister also went to EC Goodwin Tech. I guess, she wanted to follow in Big Bro's footsteps, I guess. So she's class of 2009. She graduated, and we opened up Miss Blaze March 10th, 2010. So literally just under a year after she graduated high school, we opened Miss Blaze. And yeah, so that was the reason for Miss Blaze, or MS Blaze, as you can say. Because I didn't want I didn't want my sister to ever have to struggle or need a man for anything. Big, I can't think of what song it is. Um, oh, Sky's the Limit.
I
You
know
know,
college plans, so she don't need no man.
man. So that's
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
I swear to God, like, that's the line I thought of when I'm opening Miss Blaze for my sister, like, because I didn't want her to need no man. Like, I wanted her to, like, 10 years in. So, like I said, we opened in 2010, Miss Blaze. Um, so I'm 11 years in now into the barbershop. So I know what this business entails after 11 years. So I want her to know, like, that the sky is the limit. Like, she could be greater than I am. You know what I mean? So that's why that's why we open Miss Blaze, because I wanted my sister to excel equally or beyond whatever I've done.
Hmm.
And a lot of, for those who don't know, like, my daughter is now gonna be a junior. My daughter Ariana, she's a junior, and she also goes to EC Goodwin Tech, and she's in hairdressing. So obviously the plan is one day she's gonna, take what my sister did to the next level. Like, they're gonna join forces, and one day you're gonna see Ari, working at Miss Blaze. Like, that's the plan now, but Ari hasn't, she's she's kind of grabbed into it, but not like, certainly not how I was at 16. She just turned 16 a few days ago. Happy birthday, Ari, I love you. But she's not really into hair like how I was, but she is in the program. So maybe that's going to change. You know, we don't know. She still has a couple years to figure it out doing there. So, you know, we'll see. But I hope she, you know, I tell her all the time, like, you know, she could be working at the salon now. Like she could be braiding someone's hair while we're doing this podcast. But, you know, she just hasn't seized the opportunity yet. But we all move at our own speed. So, you know, it's there for her whenever she's ready is what I try to tell her, you know. Um, she worked a summer job over the summer for the past 2 years, you know, with one of my peoples. And, you know, she's content with that money, but she doesn't realize she could have made quadruple what she made at that summer program if she had, you know, worked at Auntie's salon, you know. But that's for her to figure out and to find out. You know, I try not to force it on her, just let her know it's there, you know?
That's right. And it'll click. It'll click.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, man. Like I said, I appreciate the time, man. Before we ride out here, man, just kind of want to put you on the spot. I usually just like to have some fun before we dip off here, if that's all right.
All right, it's fine.
Cool, 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 man. When you're in the whip, man, you prefer 91 or 84?
I'm gonna say 84 because I'm a New Britain kid. So to me, 91 is foreign.
Uh, Corbin
90,
Ave, I was gonna say Corbin Ave or Art Street.
I'm gonna say Corbin Ave.
Corbin Ave. Stanley Park or Walnut Hill Park.
Oh, Stanley, because ain't no basketball hoops at Walnut Hill Park. They don't want us up there.
Yeah, I know, I know. Roma's
I'm
a capital lunch.
ah, if we're talking hot dogs, it's Capital Lunch. But you know, it's Capital Lunch if we're talking hot dogs.
Okay,
If we talk Sunday football, you know, that's another story.
okay, okay. I'm gonna take you out of New Britain just for a tad bit here. Uh, no name or sports rock.
Oh man, it's either if you want to put our bottom on, it's No Name. If
Mhm.
you want to put the throwback jersey on, it's Sports Rock. You know,
Yeah, nah, good times at all of them, man. Both of them spots, man. Both of
definitely.
yeah, yeah. I know you're a car connoisseur, man. What's your favorite car to drive?
My favorite car to drive, I don't car. I would have to say the BMW probably handles the best.
Okay,
Is the smoothest. But I'm like I'm so hooked on like I mean I've had a few different Range Rovers and you don't want to go back to a car when you're driving that SUV that drives like a car. So it's hard, you know. So I'm kind of partial to those now, I guess. But I don't know, you know.
nah, nah. Uh, Lakers or Eagles?
Uh I love them both, man. Like I love them both, but I gotta say Eagles because it's 16 games versus 82.
Okay,
Um, I very rarely miss Laker games. Like I try not to with everything in me, but I'm never gonna miss an Eagles game, period. Like it's 16 of them. That's 17 now because they changed it. So yeah, I'm not missing no Eagles game, period. Like we, we gotta figure it out. Like whatever it is. If somebody dies, like I'm gonna be on my phone trying to, you
yeah.
know,
Hmm.
yeah. And I'm sorry, but yeah, I am no Eagles game.
The cutting or basketball?
Cutting pays the bills,
All right.
and I got a lot of them, so it's cutting.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball ain't cutting me no check.
Yeah. Blaze Barbershop or the Harlem spot?
Blaze Barbershop, without question. They don't even exist anymore.
Yeah. What's the craziest cut request you ever had, man?
The craziest cut request. We've had so many.
Anyone stick out?
I can't even say that one necessarily sticks out because we usually try to talk people out of those requests. Like, those other places will do it and take your money, but we care. Like, so that's the difference. Like, we're not gonna let you do that, and I don't want my name associated with no crazy requests. So I usually try to talk people out of crazy requests.
Yeah. So has there ever been a cut? Like, damn, I shouldn't have did that.
Um, Not that I could think of. Nah.
Okay.
Like, but I've seen, now if you were interviewing Mo would just take the money and run. Like, no, I'm kidding. But nah, like I try to talk people out of it. Sauce is the same way. Like he try to talk people out of, the nonsense. Yeah.
Cause
Kev
what
and
Cab
Kev would,
too?
you know, do it. Kev would probably do it and then clown him after. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, nah, that's funny, man. That's funny. I mean, I'm sure y'all done got some. Can only imagine over the years some of the things you done heard or people tried to ask you guys to do. I can only imagine.
Oh yeah, definitely, man.
Now, what's
From
the? No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, even from even some women, like women have crazy requests for their hair. Like you might just think it's all guys, but sometimes those requests come from women.
Hmm.
I had a woman who last week, she's got hair down to her shoulders, and not, she's a heterosexual woman, not to be funny or anything, but she's she shaved the side of her head because she was mad at her husband. Her first time ever in Blaze, never, she rolled by Blaze a million times. She got coworkers who come to Blaze, and she just shaved the side of her head, and like we had to fix it, and make it look, presentable. But she just shaved off one side of her head because she was mad at her husband.
Mm.
I don't know, for whatever reason, but and we talking like an older lady, but so like we see some crazy stuff.
Yeah, because sometimes y'all gotta play like surgeons sometimes too. When people roll
100%.
up in there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Hmm. Nah,
Absolutely.
what's the longest somebody's waited for a cut up in the shop?
The record is 8 hours.
Crazy man.
Yeah, one person did 8 hours the night before Thanksgiving, like 2 years ago. But that only happens when people don't have enough, like during the week we take appointments. Saturdays are all walk-ins. Someone waited 8 hours the night before Thanksgiving 2 years ago, but that's because they were only waiting on one person, like this Sauce's cousin. So he was waiting only on Sauce. So he walks in at like, I don't know, maybe 1-ish or 12-ish on the day before Thanksgiving. And he didn't get his haircut till 8 or 9 o'clock that night. But he sat and waited, and he chose, he could have went to, whoever. Well, he couldn't have sat in my chair because I wasn't available. But like he had other options, like Mo had became available. Boyle at the time had became available, for brief spans, and he just chose to continue to wait. So the record is 8 hours, but prior to that, 7 was the record. That was also done on Thanksgiving by one of my clients probably 10 years ago.
Mhm.
And then multiple people have waited 5 or 6, like on a Saturday, like to wait, prior to COVID, to wait 4 hours on a Saturday was, not out of the ordinary. Like it's pretty common.
Okay.
Um, and this year, we probably had our busiest Saturday since prior to COVID on the 4th of July Saturday. Like there were people complaining about that week. Like there were 4 hour waits and 5 hour waits that Saturday, the Saturday before 4th of July, even though it rained that weekend, if you remember. But yeah, that's probably been the most craziest Saturday since COVID.
Yeah, yeah, and I think a long time ago, I'm not built for Saturdays. Though those days is over. Those are no, no, no.
and
What?
And it's funny because you say that, but like the people who say that are the people who come at 9 when we open, And like for most part, the mornings are the busiest at Blaze. So if you come at 9, let's say you walked in the door at 9:01, you thinking you're early. I kid you not, on a typical Saturday, there's 15 to 20 people inside already at 9 o'clock. Like this past Saturday, there was probably like 10 or 11 at 9 o'clock, like people waiting outside. And that's considered light.
Mhm.
Because one of my customers, Jenny Boom Boom, she brings her son there, both her kids and her husband. He either he'll bring the son or she'll bring him. So normally they make appointments, and she brought little man on Saturday because he had the flu one of the days, so he had to cancel his appointment. So there was, like I said, 10 or 12 people this Saturday, and she was like customers who were waiting were telling her like, oh, this is nothing, like there's only 10 people here, like,
Yeah.
like be grateful, like, but she just could not believe it, like because people are so accustomed to coming during the week,
Hmm.
sitting down and going about their business. So yeah, it's just, so Saturdays are, so like what I meant to say is the morning is always the worst. There's some people who come in at 1 o'clock, they sit right down, or maybe they have a one person wait, or, but there's always exceptions to the rule. But we always tell people to avoid the morning. Like I know, everybody wants to get up early and get it over and done with, but you can't come at 9 if the person who's first been sitting out there since 6:30.
Right.
And that's the
Right.
truth. Like, people really start waiting at like 6:30, 7
Absolutely. I believe it. Totally.
a.m. first. Like, I kid you not, like no exaggeration. And she said she got there at 8:15 and she was not first. You know what I mean? Like, so just, you think you're early, like, nah, you know?
Yeah. Especially the married dudes, they probably dipping off from the wife like 6:30 in the morning. Like I need a little oasis in the car to myself if I get my cut.
Yo,
So
we see that all the time. We hear like wives, girlfriends, whatever, call their guys when they're in the chair, like, oh my God, you're still there? You left at 7 o'clock. Like they think like no, like really,
yeah, yeah.
like so, they don't believe them when they say that, until they witness it themselves, like
Right.
some, the guy has to bring his wife, and then she'll see like, oh my God, it's a zoo here, and then, or that moment when she has to bring the child, then she realizes, oh my God, like they're not playing about Saturdays. It's like being at DMV. Like if anyone who's ever tried to go to DMV in the morning when they open, people are camped out.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, definitely good analogy, man. Now what as far as you don't have some privileges to cut some, I guess, quote unquote, I guess celebrities or who they are here, man. Like who some of the people that you in your time, man, you don't had the opportunity to do their hair.
Um, Probably my biggest celebrity client is definitely, well, not even probably, but definitely Stuart Scott. I cut Stu for years. I've had to cut Stu at ESPN. Um, Stu has came to the barbershop countless times.
Hmm.
Uh, and he opened the door for a lot of ESPN
Yeah.
personalities, and professional athletes. Um, Michael Irvin, Brian Cox, Dee Brown. I've cut Ray Allen back when he had hair.
Yeah.
Avery Johnson came to the shop. Jalen Rose used to come to the shop. I never cut Jalen, but Eddie used to cut Jalen Rose every week, probably for about 5 years.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, we've had a lot of celebrities, a lot of professional athletes. I cut Lamar Odom about a month ago. Yeah, we've had a lot. I had to go to a hotel room like 7 or 8 years ago at 7 in the morning to cut Larry Fitzgerald.
Okay.
Um, Stu has set that up, before he passed.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, like I had to be in his hotel room at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Right across from ESPN. There's like a double tree there.
Yeah, it
So
had a bunch of names throughout the years, right? I know what you're talking about.
you know,
Yeah, that's
um,
got to be crazy though, just to have an opportunity again. Obviously, just what they do for a living. They're plastered all over the place, TVs or what have you. But just to have the opportunity, just to cut other folks' hair. But I think the normalcy to all of that, like they're everyday guys, just like you and I.
Oh, 100%. And definitely. And some of those guys, even as, well-to-do they are, they're incredibly humble.
Hmm.
Like Stuart Scott, like you know how you say you ain't built for Saturdays. Stuart Scott would always come on Saturday. He hardly ever made an appointment. He would just come on Saturday and sit and wait his turn. Like,
Yeah.
he didn't complain about the wait, and he would just, talk to whoever was sitting next to him. Like he'd be humble, and sometimes he'd be animated. Like sometimes he would imitate Roy Jones being silly. Um, like he was just mad down to earth. And this dude is not seven figures, but he's eight figures. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
was, mad down to earth, totally accessible for a man of his stature. But you would never know. Like, yeah, he's just a regular dude, just like me and you. He needs his hair
Nah.
like you do. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, man. Definitely rest in peace to him, man. I had a Stuart Scott story. This, we mentioned No Name, mentioned Sports Rock, we mentioned all that. This is, one night after the club, New Britain Diner. He's in a New Britain Diner.
Okay.
So he was out and about too. So this when Yao Ming just started kind of just taking off and started playing here. So I see him at the table. He posted up with a female, but
Okay.
I'm in ignorant mode, you know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
just wanted to say what's up, but I just like, trying to just press him to just start doing that whole Yao Ming thing as far as on air. I was just like, yo, you should try this, you should try this, or what have you. And then, like to your point, he was real down to earth and humble, you know what I mean? But I just remember me just kind of just being sort of just kind of rude, just kind of not caring. He was with his little lady friend, man, just trying, but he definitely it was like a nice polite curve, like no, I appreciate it, what have you. So that was
Uh,
like my opportunity as far as to just see him. And like you said, he everyday people, man. And I think sometimes we forget that, man. No matter what, how many comments you got to your salary and all this other stuff, man. Like folks are everyday folks, man. I mean, just with a couple extra perks, but like we all still bleed the same, go to the bathroom the same, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. New Britain. I know you mentioned, just growing up there. Just your humble opinion or whatever. Who's best athlete to ever come out of New Britain?
The best athlete for any sport or what?
Athlete. I mean, just say athlete.
I mean, I don't know if we're not talking accolades. I know the obvious people want to say to Bucky Jones, but I'm I'm gonna say Jones, but I'm not gonna say to Bucky Jones. Like, and it to me it's Sean Rodriguez Jones. Like, if that's my guy. That's my man. Like, but if he doesn't have the mouth that he had in high school, if he doesn't tell his coach to suck his whatever,
Yeah.
he's he right now still like,
Hmm.
and NBA money is greater than NFL money. We know that. Like, I remember being 19, giving Driga a ride to the pro-am. We would watch and I would sit there and watch his games. I remember him putting 43 on Ray Allen when Ray Allen was in the league.
Yeah.
This is summer '99.
Yeah.
Like, he put 43 on Ray Allen in the pro-am. Like, so, and that's a fact. Like, period. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
And they said he's crazy nice in football too.
yeah, like he played football freshman year, and he ended up quitting football, but he was quarterback freshman year, and Drake had an arm, like, and
Mhm.
he was fast as shit. Like, people see Buck, Buck is incredibly fast, don't get me wrong, but Drake is like 30 pounds, lighter at the time. So he played receiver and quarterback. So his first step was crazy. Like, and he's long, he's 6'6". Buck is 6'2", 6'3", but Drake is 6'6", and he just had wheels. But he quit football. He just, you know, you're not gonna coach hearing a coach scream "Ain't my lifetime dream." the big line, that was Dreig. Like no coach is yelling at Dreig, and that's why he didn't play football, continuously.
Mm-hmm.
And Stan wasn't about to keep yelling at him, so and without him yelling back, like so, Stan used to do shit like hide letters from he would hide letters from like Dreig got letters from whoever. Like I remember, you know, being in his room in high school and he's showing me the letters from every school you name in the country. He got a letter from Georgetown, North Carolina, whoever. Like he got letters from everybody, but Stan would like hide like and those are the formal letters that come to your house,
Right,
but like
right.
the real intent letters are the ones that go to your coach.
And
And
like
this dude,
handwritten joints, all that type of
yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, like he would withhold them because of how Dre's attitude was with him. You know what I mean? Like so I feel like, if Dreig didn't have that attitude, then like it was his mouth. Like if he doesn't have that mouth and if he, you know, could just humble himself to shut up, back then, like I said, he'd be on TV right now still. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but he didn't and he wasn't. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, I believe it, man. Nah. Just a little bit that I've seen on his adult side, man, you could just tell. Like some people, you just like, yeah, you
Like
just tell.
he averaged 38 his senior year in high school. He averaged 38. Like no one's done that since. Like I, I can't even think of someone who's averaged 30 since
Mm-hmm.
then. Like, and I'm not just saying it because that's my friend, but I cannot think of anyone who's averaged 30. He averaged 38 his senior year. That's just unheard of. Like, that's multiple 50-point games. Like, you understand? Like, you know what you got to do to average 38 every night?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nah. I can see that.
Like, so do you know anyone from Jersey that comes to mind who averaged 38 a night? Can
Nah,
you
no, I
anyone?
can't. No, I can't think anyway.
That's what I'm saying. Like, like so
Yeah.
you're talking about a kid who scored 20 against Kobe in AAU.
Mm-hmm.
Like these are not like those are facts. Like you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I'm a Kobe guy. I love Kobe, but like the man scored 20 against Kobe, like in an AAU game. Like so, but we don't know what would have been, but to me, he's the greatest athlete out of New Brain because numbers don't lie. He averaged 38, period. Like,
Nah, Good try. Just curious what your thoughts was, man. Let me ask you, as far as even up to this point, man. I know you had a lot of them, but what's uh, what's three of your greatest moments up in your life up to this point?
um, three of the greatest moments, I would have to say, obviously the birth of my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
um, the first day I ever worked in Blaze,
Yeah.
and the third, I probably would say graduating high school, I guess.
Definitely, man. What are you most proud of?
Um, what I'm most proud of, I, I guess I guess you could say I'm most proud of being a role model to my kids. Like I'm most proud that that my kids could say Blaze is my dad. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm most proud of. Like yeah, I would say that.
Mm. What's what's the best part about being Johnny Turner?
The silence,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
the silence. Like Johnny could be silent. Like Blaze has to have the same conversation 20 times a day. Like and put on, it's like and people who don't know, that it's like the Clark Kent Superman thing. Like, Clark can just be Clark, but you know what I'm saying? Like, cause you witness it, like you've seen both sides of the coin.
Mm.
Like I can't wear my emotions on my sleeve when I'm there. Like I can't just be quiet all the time. Like even though like, you see how everyone else is always talking, and even though I'm the quietest, I still can't be Johnny Turner when I'm there. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense.
Yeah, I got you, man. I know when I sit in that because I try my best because I know you guys just get beaten in the head about the same stuff every day. And if I do say something, I try to throw the disclaimer in, like I already know you heard this or someone spoke
Yeah,
to you about this already, But
yeah,
I try my best, and I know sometimes too, you just want to just be quiet. You know what I mean? You done sat here and talked all day, so sometimes
yeah,
when I just don't say nothing, I know it's just like let Johnny just chill and let him cook. You know what I mean, man?
yeah.
That's all, man. I could totally see that, man. And I try my best not to add on to be the 21st person of the day to say the same thing. I try my best when I go in there. I try to be mindful of that, man. One more and I'll leave you alone, man. What would this Johnny Blaze Turner tell that 17, 18-year-old? What advice would you give him?
The advice I would give him, I would have told him when Miss Kershaw came to see you in November that you should have hopped on it then.
Hmm.
That's the only thing I would have said, even though it was a few months difference, but I would have told him to seize the opportunity sooner.
Yeah, yeah,
And going back to the what you said about having the multiple conversations multiple times, like and I just wanted you to know, like the Westbrook deal. You know how many times I've been asked about how Westbrook as a player, like
yeah,
people who don't even never bounced a basketball in their life, but they just know, they're Barbara's a Laker fan. They asked about Westbrook as a Laker, but I just had, you just had to know. So, and I was getting so aggravated. I was like, people would just, I'm like, yo, please don't ask me about Westbrook. Like, I don't like it. I don't like Westbrook. He's a great player, but I don't think he fits with us.
yeah, yeah. Now we will see how that play out, man. I know you hope for the best, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what I just want to say, honestly, Johnny, man, I know, before you jumped on, I do a little 30-second little blur, but I'll just say, wow, it's been over 20 years that I've been going to you here. And, I'm not telling you nothing you never heard about barbers, man. Outside of, extended family or my immediate family, you guys, I've had three barbers and main barbers in my life here, and it's just kind of like obviously I had some side affairs with a couple other barbers here, like but even going to them, like even throughout the time, like man, like how I felt like I was cheating on my girl. You know what I mean? Just felt like I was cheating on my girl, like just going to somebody else here. But I say that to say for me to be in that chair, you mentioned May of '99, probably that summer that falls when I probably wound up start going to you here, man. Like and just you're an old soul, and you've probably heard that before, man. And I think it's just one of those things here, man. Just how you just prepared yourself and some of the trials and ups and downs. And I know about the multiple barbers before even having the opportunity to do your own thing, man. But you took
Hmm.
the baton and you just ran with it, man. And I think and is opening yourself up to other things and opportunities, whether it was ownership or entrepreneurship. You sponsoring teams. You sponsor one or two of my teams throughout this time, man. Just your give back and just never being afraid to like never forget where you come from, or even those who might not be in the best of situations, your people, or even some people you might know a little loosely, man. You always was willing to help when asked here, when appropriate, what have you, man. And like that doesn't I mean me sitting in that chair or just me just calling or asking, about something, man. Like, I can't thank you enough just, for everything, man. Just kind of though you're younger, man, that doesn't mean you can't be one of my everyday heroes, which you are, man. And like I said, and just going to the shop here, like I said, I try to not do the traditional thing here. And I know barbers are everything to everybody from, therapists to all that stuff. So I try to just chill when I go there and I try to give you the everyday thing, man. But I think me just go in there and just whatever the case may be, man. Like I said, it's a sense of pride. One, not only yourself, but the other guys that are in there, and people that look like me, that's doing their thing and everything else here, man. I couldn't be more proud of you, and just happy to kind of just be in your presence in regards to, you being the barber that you are and everything else here, man. So I just wanted to say thank you just for everything that you've done, not only for me, but the hundreds of others that have known you, have come through that shop, or just somehow have an opportunity to know you, man. I just wanted to say thank you. I really do.
You, man. I appreciate you too. I appreciate, you having me on. I appreciate your loyalty to Blaze all over the years, everything. I appreciate you, you know, hiring my dad to work on your house. It's a two-way street, man. Like, I appreciate you always, definitely. Uh, I'm, like I said, without you guys, there is no us, there is no Blaze. Like, so I'm extremely grateful and humble to anybody who supports us and supports Blaze. Like, I know I say this jokingly all the time, but it's only one barbershop in the brand. Like, that's how I feel. And people, sometimes, some of my people who might say they're my friend and whatever, but like, to me, like, if you don't go to Blaze, don't tell nobody, you're my friend, because that's not the truth. Like, and that's just how I feel. Like, that's just how emotionally attached I am to that. So if you meet a cat, if you come and cross with someone who says, they're my family or they're my friend, and you ain't never seen them in Blaze, then that's just not true. And like, that's just how we feel. Like, like, I don't, because we appreciate people like you who aren't, blood family or whatever, or, we didn't grow up together, but I've been your barber. We established a bond, and, your family to me, just like you said, we're extended family because we have a 22-year relationship. So that means, unspeakable volume to me, and I
Nah,
just, I appreciate you.
nah, definitely. And I didn't ask my one question. You probably just answered it though. You the best barber in New Britain?
Blaze Barbershop is the best barbershop in New Britain. It's not just me. It's not just Johnny Blaze. It's all of us. It's Sauce Money. It's Mo. It's Kev. It's Eddie. It's Benji. It's G Baby. It's Boyo. It's the whole Blaze Barbershop. It's everyone who ever worked at Blaze Barbershop. We the best. It's not just me. It's all of us.
Nah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And like I said, for anybody that, I mean, you say you don't have patience, but you definitely got patience to cut this dome of mine. You know what I mean? So, so don't ever say you don't have patience. That's 22 years of patience right there. Just every time I walk them, like, man, am I gonna meet this half-hour deadline, appointment deadline? So,
as
nah,
long
man.
as long as
Yeah,
you ain't, and it's not 100 degrees in the summertime, we usually meet it. You usually do all right, man.
yeah, yeah. Nah, thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. Like I said, thanks again for everything, man. And again, and like I said, I know this is rare that you do stuff like this. So I'm really like humble and taken back, man. So thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you, man. Thank you, Ed, man. Real talk.
No, absolutely, no doubt. We'll talk.
Okay, for sure. Salute, man.
I
Peace.
got you. Peace. Just yeah, I get a little choked up sometimes, man. But like I said, I just think brothers like Johnny don't come around, to come around a dime a dozen here. And I'm really, like I said, appreciative of everything he's done for me, for his community, his come up, everything else, man. Like, just so proud of him, man. That's what this official thanks thing is about, man. Just thanking my everyday heroes, what I mean? Just Ib saying thanks. So with that being said, I put my hand over my heart. That means I feel you.